Okay, this is part 3 of my series, and it's about false prophet. How did I ever let this red flag get past me? I knew well the scripture in Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22, which tells us how to determine if a person or an organization is a false prophet. It reads, "However, the prophet who presumes to speak in my name, a word that I've not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet must die. And in case you should say in your heart, how shall we know the word that Jehovah has not spoken, when the prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah, and that the word of Jehovah did not speak? And that is the word that Jehovah did not speak. With the word does not occur or come true." That's the answer. "Presumptuousness, the prophet spoke. You must not get frightened at the prophet." Is that verse hard to understand? Well, let's see. The phrase, "presumes to speak in my name." Does the Watchtower presume to speak in God's name? Jehovah's Witnesses have been told that, quote, "all who want to understand the Bible should appreciate that the greatly diversified wisdom of God can become known only through Jehovah's channel and communication, comma, the faithful slave." That is from the Watchtower of 1994, October 1st, page 8. And then I was shocked to hear Ken Floden say this: "The governing body could be likened to the voice of Jesus." So, when we willingly submit to the faithful slave, we are ultimately submitting to Jesus' authority and direction. Wow. Okay, so another phrase from Deuteronomy 18 is that the word does not occur or come true. Well, there was a prophecy in 1876 about the end. Did the end come then? There was the prophecy in 1925 that Abraham and Moses and faithful men of old would get resurrected and live in the lovely house the Watchtower built and owned in California, called Bethsarim. Nobody reported having seen them be resurrected. Then we have 1975. I remember it well. We were very excited and very convinced that the end of the wicked system would come in 1975. My mother and I were very excited. We were talking about how there would be no need to buy a new girdle or a slip, certainly not a new car. And how many of those items have we had to purchase since 1975? But then we have the big one, 1914. Do you remember this Watchtower cover from 1984? And it says, 1914, the generation that would not pass away. And this is a lot of old people that are not living now. So, aren't we still living in that same wicked world? And this was a scripture that affected me from a long time ago, and I wondered about. And it's from Revelation 11:15. "And the seventh angel blew, and there came loud voices in heaven saying, 'The empire of this world has come to be our Lord's and his Christ's, and he shall reign forever and ever.'" Well, I always wondered, the empires of the world were still having conflicts and power and still reigning. I didn't see that this prophecy had been fulfilled. So, how serious is all of this? Back to the Deuteronomy 18:20, it said that prophet must die. And these things didn't happen just in the Old Testament. In Matthew 24:11, it says, Many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. Jesus' words. And there's another good scripture here in 1 John. Okay, never mind. The verse I want is Matthew 7:15. And it says, "Beware of pretended prophets who come to you in the garb of sheep, but are rapacious wolves inside." Well, why didn't I heed that red flag? I did go to the reasoning book and looked up false prophets. And they really stress the point about being alert to the end, and that's what they were trying to do. And that sounded reasonable to me, and I went with that. Also, what stood with that phrase, "stay alert," was the warning, the advice that we heard from the platform. We're not serving Jehovah only for a certain amount of time, but for forever. And those points resonated with me, and I went forward. Well, here's the problem. Those statements by the Watchtower, in the Watchtower and other literature, are not just expressing an opinion. They're being put out there in their official publications for their followers specifically to read, to accept, and then to preach to other people. So that's serious. So next I'll talk about the predictions and what kind of effect they had on people's lives and how they molded their lives to those false predictions.